Coming up on this week's news, is it ever okay to mix different brands of switchgear on a board? The IET steps into the debate. Electrical training firm Quickstep goes bust. If you're affected, we tell you what you can do about it. And the Electrician Simulation game that's become an unlikely hit with teenagers. Welcome to Electrical News Weekly, whether you're listening in the van, on site, or down at the wholesale counter. I'm Joe Robinson, and I've been through the best of the electrical industry news to save you the trouble. And this week's challenge word competition is supported by our friends over at Brady Printers. They're exhibiting at the Elect Show at Ali Pali in London on the 27th and 28th of March, which is this Thursday and Friday. So it's your last chance to book your tickets to see the great kit they've got on offer. And if you think you've spotted the two words that I've been challenged to slip into this week's show, comment with them below for the chance to win a prize. Can you mix different brands of switchgear in consumer units and distribution boards? That's the question the authors of the wiring regulations have acted to address this week. The IET points out that BS 7671 doesn't explicitly rule out different brands sitting side by side in a board, but the organisation stresses that you can only insert into assemblies components that are approved by that manufacturer. The main reason is heat. The experts are worried that inappropriate circuit breakers or SPDs can affect heat dissipation and potentially cause overheating in adjacent devices. You may also be invalidating the warranty. All this seems to suggest that you can, for instance, only use Hager gear in a Hager board, but not quite. An installer can deviate from this, but it means you're taking the scary step of assuming the same responsibility as the original manufacturer. You'll also need to seek approval from the board maker for any modifications you make, and that includes putting in kit from other brands. You'll need this approval in writing, and you'll need to include it with the final certificates. So, in short, you can do it, but you need the paperwork. The workaround, of course, is to install differently branded switchgear, such as circuit breakers and surge protection devices, in a separate assembly. This, the IET agrees, is the simplest and the safest option. We're working on a Q&A video on this subject for ENW sponsors CP and QDIS, so watch this space for that. In the meantime, I've put a link to the full document in the show notes. In other news, independent training provider CTD Quickstep has gone into insolvency. The company helped electricians gain their gold cards with Level 3 Experienced Worker Awards and NVQ diplomas. Some 3,000 installers have gained qualifications from the firm since it started in 2001. Learners pay up to £1,800 for the courses, and many now fear losing their money. Many of the certificates for CTD Quickstep graduates were provided by awarding organisation EAL. EAL tells us that it last inspected the CTD Quickstep Centre in Cornwall in October 2024. It says it found no concerns about the quality of its processes and procedures. EAL is urging anyone affected to contact CTD Quickstep in the first instance. They should, in time, get a response from the insolvency practitioners. In the meantime, they should download their electronic portfolio and learning records or print out a hard copy. EAL has also set up a form for affected individuals to submit their details. This will establish how many active EAL learners are impacted and allow it to contact you directly. If you're not registered with EAL, you'll be signposted to other awarding organisations. The link to the form is in the show notes. Before we turn to this week's hot product launches, a reminder that last week's eFix TV live stream was a special on electrician inventors. We gathered no fewer than 8 products from Inspirational Sparks and got 6 of the inventors in our studio in person to look at how they came up with their clever solutions to everyday problems. It's a cracking watch and really insightful as to how products make the journey from inspiration to production. So I've popped the link in the show notes for you to have a watch. Now, welcome to our Electrical News Weekly feature where we focus on a specific product area. This week we've gone green for renewables. It's a booming sector with lots of innovations. A development we love here at eFix is PV Stop. This is a unique spray that you use in an emergency to black out solar panels to stop them generating electricity. It comes in a metal bottle like a fire extinguisher and, say the inventors, it was developed for a simple reason. You can't turn off a PV panel. As long as there's light, they'll produce lethal amounts of DC power. PV Stop works like liquid tarpaulin, says Jack Tone, the firm that created it. When you spray it on a panel, it will spread out over it rapidly and black it out. In effect, it turns the panel off. PV Stop is effective on all types of solar PV systems and all types of inverters. The people at PV Stop now want your view on this unique product. Head over to our question of the week to give your input. I've put a link to it in the show notes. Another development helping a blaze is a Firefighter switch designed specifically for solar installs. That's because when you switch off the power to the house, you don't turn off the PV array. German firm Weidmuller says its PV Next switch gives automatic disconnection for the strings when the power to the house is turned off by firefighters. The switch is connected to the property's main AC power. If this voltage drops to 0, the box switches off within a second. If the AC power supply is merely disrupted due to a power cut, however, the box automatically switches back on once a voltage of 230 volts is restored. The PV Next switch works with arrays with a maximum power point of 12. Now, have you ever tried to thread 4 separate 6mm cable cores through 25mm conduit up the side of the house to put up solar panels? Not the easiest job in the world. In fact, it's like trying to use a corkscrew as a straight edge. But now, there's a solution to the conduit problem, not the corkscrew thing. Doncaster Cables has unveiled a dedicated multi-core DC cable. The PV Ultra comes in 2 and 4 core, in 4, 6 and 10mm, as well as an SWA version in 6mm. The result? A neater, faster and safer job. Complementing the cable and produced in response to installer demand are dedicated heat shrink boots which make it super easy to terminate. You simply slip them over the PV Ultra and shrink them down for a secure seal. Another useful launch from Doncaster this week is a special cable for Tesla's Powerwall 3 battery pack. It's designed and tested to Tesla guidelines and approved by the car maker, and it contains everything you need to wire up the unit. It includes the power conductors, a 12-volt power supply with PVC insulation, and a pair of data cables for connecting to the communication port. They're all wrapped up in super tough sheathing made with a specially developed carbon tech compound. Eaton is hosting a free networking evening on April the 2nd in London to coincide with Solar and Storage Live. The Energy Transition Networking Evening will feature a CPD session on mastering commercial EV charging and load balancing, plus an exclusive look at Eaton's latest chargers. Industry leaders, energy pros and anyone passionate about sustainability are invited to enjoy drinks and canapes while mingling with experts shaping the energy transition. It's at the 11th hour Marsh Wall, kicking off at 6:15 p.m. Spaces are limited, so make sure to register now. Full details are in the show notes. Now, here's something we love. Scientists in Germany have developed invisible solar panels. Yes, really. Well, by invisible, we mean they're designed to perfectly match the roofs of the buildings. For instance, they've come up with units which look exactly like the clay tiles seen on roofs in continental Europe. The researchers say the coloured units deliver 95% of the power of standard black, and they work brilliantly on heritage buildings where solar PV panels in black would look very off-putting. Their secret? The boffins took inspiration from nature. They reproduced the 3D photonic structure of the wings of the morpho butterfly. Of course they did. I knew that. And speaking of solar panels, if you're based around the Basildon area and you need solar kit, we can recommend the guys at HDM Solar. They set up shop just last month and are now stocking big name brands including Solax, Sunsync, Rolec and Growwatt. They also have experts if you need any technical advice on a project. There's also other branches in Hull, Sheffield and Bournemouth. Tell them Efix sent you. Our last product launch this week comes from the Chinese car maker BYD. It's unveiled what it says is its first integrated storage system for homes. The battery box HVE comes with either a single-phase hybrid inverter or a 3-phase device. There are 2 versions with capacities of 4.3 kilowatt hours and 6.5 kilowatt hours. That's our Electrical News Weekly roundup of products that we think deserve some attention. Next week, we're sounding the alarm for fire safety and security. Off the back of our product focus feature, our question of the week was also on renewables and came from our free training package on solar PV installs made in association with Sunsync. We asked you what would not be a consideration when installing an inverter in a roof space. The choices were adequate lighting, unimpeded access, a 13 amp socket and fire detection. On LinkedIn, some 69% of you voted for the socket, and on YouTube it was 49%. The good news, the majority are right. A 13 amp outlet is not an important consideration. So give yourselves a well-deserved pat on the back, and because we refuse to act as gatekeepers to the industry, remember all of our training packages are completely free and count as an hour towards your annual CPD requirement. And finally, a video game about being an electrical installer has become an unlikely hit with Gen Z. Electrician Simulator, which launched in 2022, has become one of Take It Studio's most successful streams, and this week the company launched a version for VR headsets. So after a hard week on the tools, you can get home, put on your headset and relax by going back on the tools. The game revolves around 30 exciting story-based missions. These include repairing an electrical socket, the next level is fixing a kitchen appliance, and the ultimate task is a complete rewire of a house. If you try the game, let us know how you get on in the comments. I must admit, although my tone has sounded a bit skeptical, I am a bit of a nerd. Who knew, right? And so I have bought this game, and I'll let you know what it's like for real. Now, our usual reminder that we're in the market for your stories, your projects, and your recommendations, as we'd like to share them with the wider eFix community. Over the next few weeks, we'll be featuring renewables and fire safety and security. So send us pictures of your installs, or let us know if you've come across any new kit that's making your job easier, or any products that you think deserve a shout out. And just before we get to your favourite bit of the show, where I reveal last week's challenge words and winners, we want to thank our premium partners. We couldn't make the news without you. First up, they're the people who've created the Swiss Army knife of solar inverters, along with all-weather batteries, very much the Boy Scouts of the solar industry. It's Sunsync. And speaking of solar, with manufacturing powered by a massive 250 megawatt solar PV array, they're literally the greenest test instrument maker in Europe, both physically and ethically. It's KPS. Are you a bit of a control freak? Motor control, that is. If so, with huge stocks and excellent service, check out Crompton Controls. As they said to me in a recent conversation, if we don't have it, then we can build it. With their new award-winning Lumo consumer unit and offering complete product support from their highly trained team, it's CPN QDIS. Don't forget to use the code EFIX30 to claim your 30% discount on top quality light fittings from Philips and EcoLink. Download the Lumexpert app today and make your life easier and less expensive. It's the light of our lives, Signify. And the best thing to come out of Yorkshire since stainless steel, the home of EV Ultra and other groundbreaking and quality products, it's Doncaster Cables. Click the links in the show notes to find out more about these great brands. If you think you know the words I've smuggled into this week's show, pop your guess into the comments. We'll take all the correct guesses and select one at random to be the winner of an eFix goodie bag prize. Answers submitted after about lunchtime on the Thursday after release will not be entered into the draw. Now let's reveal the winners of last week's challenge word competition, supported by our good friends at Brady Printers. Don't forget to book your tickets to join them at the Elect Show at Alexandra Palace on the 27th and 28th of March. That's this coming Thursday and Friday, so don't miss your chance to go and see them. Last week's words were toothpick and jazz hands, and the first name to come out of our electronic hat was Ashley Jenkins 3981. So well done to you, Ashley. Make sure you click the Get Involved link in the show notes to claim your prize. Thanks for listening to this episode of Electrical News Weekly. Make sure you subscribe to receive the next update. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great week. Stay safe out there, and remember, there's no such thing as a torque calibrated arm.